This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, episode 54.
Actually, I started trading in 2008. I opened up my first brokerage account when I was 13.
This is the Stock Trading Reality Podcast, where you get to see the realistic side of a trader's journey. Get inspired and stay motivated by everyday normal people who are currently on their journey to trading success. And this is your host, who absolutely hates having to run long distances, ClayTrader.
Now, this fun fact comes at a good time because both Chez and I are actually in the middle of working out, dieting, all sorts of stuff. Chez more so, I think, because I know he has a wedding coming up, but hopefully he's building a routine where he's going to go beyond the wedding. But I personally hate running long distances, like you just heard. I am not good at it. I've never been good at it. I've played sports growing up, but they were all the interval sports where you would run and then kind of take a break, like a football or a baseball or something like that. But never cross country. I did do track, but never any of the long distance ones. I absolutely hate running long distances, and I'm not any good at it. So if you want a for sure way to beat me in some sort of competition, an easy, no-brainer way would be, hey, you want to run a mile or 2 miles? I can't stand it. But Chez, I don't know if you like it, but I know you've been doing it recently. So are you good at it, or are you just doing it because all you're thinking of is wedding, wedding, wedding?
I hate running. I tried to do track in high school. That lasted about 3 weeks because I was like, who does this for enjoyment, running through the woods and stuff? And don't get me wrong, it's great exercise, but no, I hate it. I had asthma as a kid, so it's just bad. The one thing I do really enjoy, though, is riding a bike. And I still don't do that enough out here. But yeah, right now, it is strictly the only cardio I'm doing is just because I don't want to be fat for the wedding. You got it. You pretty much nailed it on the head.
Okay, so after the wedding comes and goes, because I know you've been lifting weights and stuff too. So is the running gone after the wedding, and then you'll just stick with the lifting weights?
The running will probably be gone. Maybe I'll just go on longer walks with the dog, like low impact type stuff. But yeah, so lifting and all of that, that's great. I love getting my heart rate up at the gym. That's no problem. But yeah, I just can't stand the monotony of what feels like pounding the pavement, running around. I just don't know why I don't enjoy it. It's just, I think I get bored. I think that's honestly the reason.
Yeah, my brother-in-law, who is in the Marines and all that stuff. Yeah, I love the guy. He's just his outlook on things are great, but he's always like, he refuses to listen to music while he runs and all that, because most people listen to music for that very reason, right, Chez? They're getting bored. They need something to do. And he's like, I don't listen to music. There should be no music. You need to learn how to push through that mental anguish. And I'm like, that's very true, because that's what it is. Long distance running, in my mind, is just pure mental anguish. And it's worse enough even if you have music going, but to have no music, I'm
just a big sissy. Yeah, I'm just a big sissy. I'll admit it right now, because that just sounds crazy.
Yeah. But he's he's a former Marine. I guess that's all you have to really say about that. So, but I always find that funny. A good little story. So this is a stock trading podcast, though. We're not fitness. So we should probably move on.
I forgot about that. I guess we should move on.
Yeah, we should move on. Well, today we are talking with chat room member Tony, and many of you, if you've been around the chat room, I'm sure have seen him from time to time. But he's got a unique little twist in terms of how old he was when he got started, and he's not an old guy by any means, but because he started so young, he's actually got quite a bit of experience, and he went through quite a bit. So we'll sit back and hear all of Tony's kind of ups and downs, and then learn about where he is at right now. So without further ado, let's talk with Tony. Now, before I welcome our guest, I have a memory that I was just discussing with him, and I never let him live it down. But I don't remember the exact context, but Tony couldn't come to a webinar or something because he was having to do yard work at his parents' house, or just something really random. So with that being said, Tony, are you doing any yard work right now? And welcome to the show.
Well, as of the moment, I am not, because it's snowy and it's 32 degrees outside.
Do you have any plans to do any yard work?
He's lying, guys. He's on Skype on his cell phone outside shoveling snow right now, so don't believe him.
So are you kind of disappointed that you can't do any landscaping stuff right now?
Honestly, I enjoy landscaping because it gets me active and all whatnot.
So I mean, yeah, that's good. I don't know why. I just always equate, whenever I see you in the chat room my mind quickly goes to landscaping, and then that's it. But that's just whatever the kind of picture that I always have now associated with you is you out just dripping in sweat, with like a pickaxe or something. I don't know why you would need a pickaxe for landscaping in Indiana, but that's just how I picture it. So, but in all seriousness, thank you for hanging out with us. And are you ready for some questions?
Sure.
Sure. You ready to get grilled?
I'm so ready.
All right. First question. Topsoil or mulch? No, I'm just kidding. All right. So tell us about your journey, where you first got started. I mean, how did you hear about the market? And then, what kind of pushed you over the edge in terms of, wanting to get a little bit more serious about it?
All right. Well, I first heard about the market in 2007 when I was like 12. I heard my uncle and my dad talking about it, and then I heard, what was it, CNBC on the TV. They explained to me what the bottom, basically, tape tickers, what was it called? Yeah, tape tickers. And I don't know, I just got so interested in the whole the move of the markets. And
Now, did you do anything with that in like high school or junior high? Did that kind of interest, stay with you, or did that wait until kind of after you were done with school?
actually, I started trading in 2008. I opened up my first brokerage account when I was 13. Asked my mom for a social and opened up a custodial account.
Wait, so you got involved in the markets in 2008 at age 13?
That's
Yes.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm hashtag jealous right here. I mean, at age 13, I was more concerned. What is this red thing that just grew on my face? What is this pimple? And here
I'm gonna
Tony
go
is.
skateboarding or something.
Yeah,
like that.
it's like I had real world problems. Like, oh, great, I got a pimple on my face, and you're already in the market. So, how did you have to like give your parents a big sales pitch or a big presentation, or how easy or hard was that to actually allow them to open up a custodial account for you?
I mean, my dad basically had a basic understanding. He knew what margin and cash accounts were, so he basically opened up what was it, like a 2 grand cash account for me, and I basically traded from there.
So he was just like, hey son, you're interested, that's great, let me give you some, let me open up an account. That was pretty much
Um,
that. I mean,
well, okay. Well, I've been working ever since I was a little kid. They basically told me to build some work ethic, and
good parents.
yeah,
Definitely good parents.
Good parents. So I saved up all that money and then threw it
Wait,
on top of
what?
what
Say
he.
that again. You
I
actually
saved up.
you saved money. You mean you didn't just like get 50 bucks, go put it on a penny stock? You actually worked and saved and created some money. Wow. That's at age 13. There's the lesson there is a lot of much older people could take a Ches, don't you think? I mean, how many times do we come across it all the time where, yeah, I don't have that much money, so I just got to play penny stocks. Or, you could go get a job and save a little bit and create a bigger account for yourself.
And getting a job and saving money at the age of 13, where, like you said, most people are concerned with, going to talk to a girl or the pimples that are forming on your forehead or something. So yeah, this is starting out to be one of the more probably one of the rarest podcast kind of starts we've had so far. Now I know Clay kind of touched on it that obviously you had saved up and you're on a custodial account for this, but I want to know, did your dad or any of your family, were they giving you like any advice kind of at first, like look for this or look for this, or where did you kind of gather your information at age 13? I want to know how you were making choices at that time.
Well, I was well, let's see. I watched CNBC. I listened to the talking heads all the time, and then they were talking about banks and financials and how it was crashing at that current moment in time. And then they're like, you know what? Just start looking into bank stocks and into technology stocks. So I was like, all right, perfect. Um, I looked at message boards and all kinds of whatnot just to feed my Kool-Aid on my backing to go into these positions.
So were you looking at big boards or were you looking at penny stocks? What exactly Because message boards, when I hear message boards, I automatically go to penny stocks. But I mean, or are you like looking at like Yahoo message boards for
Yeah,
like big board?
yeah,
So that
Yahoo and MSNBC or MSN.
okay, so you weren't
So
like on Investors Hub or anything like that.
I honestly never heard of Investor Hub until like a year ago.
That's crazy. I don't know how that's possible, but good for you then, I guess, because that's a place where many sheep go to get slaughtered before learning their ways. But all right, so you're getting your advice from headlines, message boards, CNBC. Tell us about the first trade, and just so I that $2,000 in your account, that was all your money that you had saved
Um,
up, right?
500 was my parents because they were like, "Oh, you're putting on risk. That's perfect." And then
Okay,
I
so $1,500 then is
yes,
technically your money, 500 of your parents. So $1,500 for a 13, 14-year old, that might as well be like $1 million. So how did the first trade go? Tell us about your very first trade. I mean, you got to remember the first one.
all right, Citibank. It was going for like 85 cents. Sold out at $1.25, I think.
Y-
I
That's
can't
a
remember.
that's a ridiculous. Well, actually, I want to know how long did you hold that? Because that's a great return on an 80-cent stock.
It was a good a year and a half.
So yeah, okay. So that makes more sense. But obviously, yeah, it is actually the craziest time when you entered, when everything was literally crashing and bottoming out and stuff. So that's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
nutty.
mind-boggling. Citigroup, like kind of like a massive bank, 85 cents. Oh, yeah, I remember those days though. Bank of America. Well, what was the one that went? Lehman Brothers. That was
Lehman
supposed to be a
Brothers.
bargain at what, like 50 cents and then
Yep.
40 cents and then all of a sudden uh
No bid.
yeah, no bid. See you later. But I mean, why Citigroup? What made you land on Citigroup and what made you pull the trigger at 85 cents?
Uh, Something about government bailout, and some other thing. I forgot. I don't remember. It's been seven
So,
years or so.
but I guess the point here being, it was literally you're just listening to the talking heads, listening to the TV shows, and because there was talks of bailouts, you said, "All right, yeah, I'll do that." Is that fair enough? You just were strictly getting your trade plans from the media.
Exactly.
Okay, so that first one turned out pretty well. Well, I guess pretty well. I mean, a year and a half. That's a long trade. I think we'd call that more of like a invest trade, or I don't know what we'd call that. That's a swing trade
Yeah,
of
long
epic
term swing trade.
proportions. Yeah.
Right.
Now, why did you hold that long? What did it do right when you bought? Did it like drop down or because a lot of
Um,
people say, well, this is going to be a trade and then it goes against them and then all of a sudden they turn into long-term investors. Well, now I got to hold until it goes green. So why exactly did you hold for that long?
I honestly have no idea. Let's see. The lowest it ever got to was like 79 cents, and
Okay,
then it
so
shot. Yeah, so my risk was I was willing to lose it all basically because I have
well,
X amount of years.
let's you had no idea what you were doing at this point.
Yeah,
I think that's a
exactly.
fair statement. So, I mean, you talking about, oh, my risk was, you had no idea. I mean,
Yeah, I had
so
no idea
let's,
what risk
okay,
was.
yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. I appreciate the honesty, but so you sold it, you said like $1.25. Why? Why did you sell? What all of a sudden changed a year and a half later at $1.25 where you decided, you know what, I'm going to sell?
I think it was earnings related. It dropped like 80 cents or something from
Oh, so it was
yeah,
actually up a lot higher than $1.25.
exactly.
Oh, all right. So, and then it was, so you lost. That's still
I,
crazy though to lose. So it was at that point in time, it was looking very, very solid for you until that earnings call, huh?
exactly.
So then where did you go from Citigroup? What was your next couple of trades?
I honestly did not trade after that. I waited until I was a sophomore in high school
I
to
want
like
to I want
trade.
to commend you, Tony, as well, because Clay's coming at you for all the reasons you're doing trades, and this is over 8 years ago. So good, good. But yeah, obviously, a lot of people, remember their first trade, and but yeah, it was a kind of reaction to close it. So now you kind of wait until you're in high school. I'm sure at this point are you still kind of listening to the talking heads?
I was not. I was more worried about Halo and Call of Duty and all that jazz, video
Okay,
gaming
so
nonsense.
you're finally acting like a teenager again, but something that's kind of there is a big gap there between taking that one trade that did last a long time and then kind of your sophomore year in high school. So what was the particular reason that you didn't place any trades after that particular one?
I have no idea. I don't remember. I don't remember at all.
I think Chez pretty much nailed it on the head when he just said you just actually turned into like a normal kid that age where you got into video games and decided to just do that sort of stuff. So you think that's probably had more to do with it? You just had other things on your mind?
Probably.
Probably.
I was like 13, 14. I was doing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're kind of wondering, why does my voice sound like this all of a sudden? You had other issues. I mean,
I was
something.
wondering why all this oil was on my face and
Yeah,
all this
exactly. Yeah.
nonsense.
What is this stuff growing under my armpit stuff? Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's kid. Oh, Mommy, what is this guy talking about? Don't worry, son. You'll figure it out someday. So, ClayTrader.com, where we help you overcome those awkward conversations with your kids. I mean, Chez, we do it all here, don't we?
We do. I mean, we've covered a lot of topics in, the year that we've been doing this now, and a lot of it, it's not all trading related anymore. So I mean, yes, we're now moving into the young adult demographic.
Yeah, I mean, there's that transition period. We're just trying to help parents ease along there. So, good luck to all you parents out there if you had a kid sitting in the car with you right now as you listen to this. So, all right, so Tony, you finally get back into the markets sophomore year, and what were you looking at that point in time?
I was looking at Apple. And
So,
Apple
and
at that current moment in time was like going for 320 something.
this is crazy because I just it's memory lane where these names are now compared to where they were in the past. But now your recognition of kind of Apple, was that based on it, being in the news and iPods are out now and it's kind of a household name, right?
Right. I bought it or bought some shares because I had everything. I was basically like an Apple geek. I had iPods, iPhone, or phones at that current moment in time, MacBooks, everything you can think of.
Yeah.
And
It's not uncommon at all for kind of people to, you think about what you use in everyday life and is it a good product? And if you believe in the products, obviously you're a big Apple believer. It makes sense. And that's why a lot of people, they might be buying GM stock or, auto stocks or whatever it is that they're kind of interested in or believe in and think they're providing good stuff. It's not uncommon at all for to do that. And but yeah, it was at $3. So you're kind of in now. I'm assuming this is going to be another one of your type of kind of investments. You're not actually actively trading by any means or using any technical analysis. Is that safe to say?
at that current moment in time, no. I was currently on fundamental analysis.
And how did that trade turn out for you?
It went from 320 to 4 something.
Before you sold out?
Yeah, like 480. No, not 480. Like 475, 480.
Okay. So what made you decide to sell out at that point in time?
Another earnings release that was awful, and I was like, I'm out. Sorry, guys.
But you had all their stuff.
I couldn't tell you why. It was just
Clay, you can't
it
deny
was
the
a click
fact
of a
that
button.
you can't deny the fact that when something takes a turn to the downside, obviously now our mindset is different, but when it takes a turn to the downside, especially to a steep degree, you think the world is over and the company's going to zero. I mean, I've thought that before, and it's kind of funny now that usually when things are turning south, sometimes there's actually great ways to find areas to kind of pick up stock. But it's super counter intuitive because you see a huge red and it's down a bunch of percent, you just want to get rid of it. So it's crazy how the mind works, especially if you're not using charts or something to kind of do that. But so you don't use any fundamental analysis for the exit. It's just it's a bad reaction to earnings. So you're out of Apple now, and now are you looking for more trades based on fundamentals? You looking for PE ratios, dividends, stuff like that?
And then after that, I started looking at ex-dividend dates. So I'm looking at ex-dividend dates, and I'm looking at scanners and all this. What is it? Scanners, and market movers to see which ex-dividend date is near. and then I basically buy into it, see if the trend is going up, and then I buy it right before the dividend date or ex-dividend date, and then I sell after.
Now you said you to see if the trend was going up. How are you finding the trends? What exactly
Uh,
were you using for this?
it was 3-day line chart.
Oh, nice. The line chart. That's you're getting pretty fancy over there now, Tony.
Oh yeah.
So you're looking for X dividends that are trending using the line chart. And, that sounds like a pretty simplistic, pretty straightforward strategy. How'd that all turn out for you?
It actually went pretty well. I did that for a year and a half until my senior year, and then I got into technical analysis.
And how, but I mean,
Oh, I skipped a whole bunch of. I
but
left it.
why did you all of a sudden stop doing this if it was working out so well? That
Uh,
this is now confusing me. Why did you go to analysis if this X dividend thing was working out so well for you?
all right, so there's this ticker that released or not released, but had a ex dividend day of like at the end of the year, and the dividend was like $1.80 something, and the stock was going for 18 $18. Next day, after the ex dividend day, it dropped by $6, and I was like, this isn't working out. So I cashed out on that, and I looked for a different strategy, basically.
So, yeah, I was going to say that, obviously you're not the only person in the world who's trying to kind of game dividends. And it's kind of, nowadays there's computer models and everything that will literally make sure that almost there's zero change based on if you buy it before and buy it after, just kind of how they move the stock. But kudos to you for doing that. Like, again, it still blows my mind that you're doing this all in high school. So obviously we once again have a bad reaction. This leads you to go on kind of the search for what is a better method and kind of probably more stability for you. So now you're a senior in high school, right? And
Right.
you are looking into technical analysis. So explain how you kind of went about looking for that. Was it as simple as a Google analysis thing where you're reading stuff on Yahoo Finance about technicians are calling for this or that? What was it?
That's exactly what it was. It was Google Analysis. Not Google Analysis. Is it Google Analysis? Anyways, it was Yahoo. I started looking at charts. I picked range charts, tick charts, every single chart you can think of, and then went from there. Started picking out tickers and saw that they had major supports. Like they would get rejected at this point, and then at another point, and I would basically, yeah, basically technical analysis buy at the bottom, sell at the top, or near the resistances.
Now, how were you? I was just curious. How were you doing this in high school? Because obviously you're in school while the market is open. So, was this something that you're doing like after school, putting in limit orders, or how exactly what were the behind the scene logistics of you doing this? You didn't have a job, but you did have a job in the sense of you were at school during the day. So, talk to us about that.
Well, I actually had a job. It was at the age of 16. I was working at a local steakhouse, and after that, okay, here's my daily routine. So I'll go to school. I'll go through all my classes. Regular high school nonsense. At the end of the day, I would check the markets on my phone, and then I would see if I'm up or down, and depending on that, I would basically buy or sell depending on how it looked.
So
You're,
we
yeah, this is way too broad. I would buy or sell depending on how it looked. Like what does that even mean? I don't understand.
All
Depending
right,
on how what looked.
all right. How the chart looked. I would I don't know how to describe it. It would be okay. Say a ticker like AMD. AMD would be trading at a range between $6 and $4. I would I would buy at for like 10, and then if it's nearing my exit point at say 480 to 520, I would sell at that point. And if it's anywhere near that area within like a plus 10 to minus 10 cent gap.
Gotcha. So you had kind of, you knew where you were looking to buy and you knew where you're looking to sell. And obviously, like you said, you're checking it on your phone. So you were already in the age of, you have your broker's app on your phone. Yes.
You're right.
Okay. So Tony never had to call in orders or actually be seated at something. He can literally just under his desk at school, pull up his portfolio and see what's doing well and what's doing not. So it's kind of
Yeah,
crazy to think about, isn't it, Clay?
it is kind of nuts. But what time did your school end, or are you doing this like in the middle of math class?
I checked at lunchtime and at 2:30, which was when school the end bell rang.
So your school got out at 2:30 Eastern time or 3:30 Eastern time? Because I know you're in Indiana.
Uh, 2:30 Eastern.
Okay, so all right, so you still had a good hour and a half left of the
Right.
day where you could still do. All right, that makes a little bit more sense then, because I could picture what Ches was saying, where you like curled up underneath your desk so the teacher doesn't see you, and you're like executing all these trades. So let's get out of high school now. Did you go to college or no?
I went to a local college and then I went to a trade school.
Okay, so this next part, you graduate high school. Are you still interested in the markets during this transition from high school to the next part of your life, or what's going on with your trading at this point?
Uh, at this point, at this point, I was a full-on tech trader trading biotechs.
It's not uncommon. Okay, so but are you using any technical analysis? Because I know these things are pretty much, I think it's safe to say 99% news driven, based on FDA, whatever it is.
Exactly. I was basically using I was using fundamental analysis, and then after the fundamentals, I will look at the chart.
Now, quick question though, before we go even any further, because biotechs are, I have the pleasure of going through Twitter a lot, and I find so many people who drink the Kool-Aid. Was there ever a ticker now at this point that is a biotech that you read something like, oh, they're going to do this, it's going to cure cancer or something, and you were just a full-blown believer and bought that ticker and just held it, just bag held it?
Oh, I was fully blown. I can't remember the ticker. I'll check for you guys later. But it was that trade was an awful trade. It was, I think I lost like half my portfolio on that account or on that trade alone.
So you bought and you were drunk on the Kool-Aid, and you literally just held and held and held to it. It literally cost you half your portfolio.
You're right. I drank the Kool-Aid like every single time when it was starting to go down. I would basically look for affirmations and message boards saying that they just released a 10K or something to or
So
a
you're
press
you're
release.
looking anywhere for some sort of justification. I mean, you're digging the corners of the internet looking for anybody to just justify you holding onto the stock. Is that pretty fair to say?
Fair to say.
And it obviously didn't turn out very well for you. What was the final thing that kind of broke the camel's back in terms of, what, I just got to sell this thing?
Just a gut feeling. I hate to say that, but it was a gut feeling.
He tapped out. He hit that
I
pain
tapped out.
threshold, and everybody's got that pain threshold.
So it's just a matter of, I can't take it anymore. I can't find any reassuring things across the internet. I'm out of here.
Exactly.
And then you just moved on. So now you're at half a portfolio. So where did you go from this point? I mean, and then also, when did you actually start to come across, the ClayTrader community? Let's kind of jump to there. When did that happen? How'd that happen? And all that good stuff.
All right. Well, I first heard about it on StockTwits. It probably won't be around in like 20 odd some years, but besides the point. Heard about it. I saw you posting charts, and I was like, oh, this is a perfect technical analysis viewpoint that I could learn upon. So I started going through all your videos, literally all of them, free, all that nonsense.
Nonsense.
Yeah, nonsense.
No, I've still hung up on the earlier statement of Google analysis. I like that. It's so much better than Googling. We'll call it Google analysis. So, like, I did the same thing. I watched all your videos and live trades before I ever joined the community. So Tony was doing his Google analysis, and you leave him be. But yes,
What happened after that?
I mean, did you join the chat room right away, or were you kind of hesitant and then you wanted to just check things out more? Or I mean, when exactly did you join the community?
I was actually really hesitant. I was like, why am I going to pay $99 for a membership when I get all this free unstocked tweets and all that message boards? And one day I just asked you, I was like, hey, how many people are in your live chat rooms? And you were like 300 or 300 ish. And I was like, all right, perfect. Next day I got into your lounge.
And from there, it was you just made millions of dollars.
I wish. In hindsight, yes, but
So, I mean, when you got in there, were you just randomly buying stuff because people would alert it, or I mean, you just kind of sit back? How exactly did you approach the chat room situation? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the first chat room you had ever joined.
yes. I honestly did not understand a word that you guys were saying. I was like, what are you guys talking about? So I decided to look through all the logs, like dating back through as far as you can go, and I would pull up a chart seeing like when it was alerted, what this guy was seeing, and
So you were a freaking cheapskate, then, is what's going on. You
yeah,
just refused to pay. You were trying to reverse engineer.
He was reverse engineering. Yep.
Yeah, you're trying to
exactly.
reverse engineer everything and spending all this time and guessing. So how'd all this guessing go? How'd the reverse engineering go?
It worked well actually. Let's see. 6 months in, I realized what these guys were talking about. Like at that moment in time, you
Efficient.
guys,
6 months. Very efficient, Tony. Well done, sir.
at
A
that
good
point,
half a year of reverse engineering.
right? At that moment in time, all you guys were talking about was marijuana stocks and let's see, and ADX crossovers and all of that jazz, which means nothing to me now. But um, let's see.
So you're looking at, obviously at that time there's absolutely no contest that the penny stock room or the under $1 room was the most busy, and for good reason. We talk about it a lot in other podcasts. When that marijuana boom came, or Ebola or whatever it was, the penny stock market, the OTC market, had tons of volume, and there was actually a good amount of stuff to be traded there. So, I know you had traded things in the past like AMD and Apple, and these are over $1 stocks and household names. So did you have any reservations at all, kind of trading these speculative marijuana stocks, or were you kind of already conditioned from trading extremely volatile biotechs that it was a fine transition for you?
It was a complete fine transaction or transition. It was a complete transition for me. It was it was going good for a good, I want to say like 2 weeks, and then after the 2 week mark, it started to go downhill.
Is that because the whole pot stock bubble started to pop?
Burst, yeah, basically.
So in other words, it was going well for you for 2 weeks, but it was also going well for everybody else during those 2 weeks because you could have been, deaf, dumb, and blind, and you would have still made money during the pot stock boom because everything was going up and nothing ever went down. So, did you learn anything from your biotech instant where you held it all the way down to losing half your portfolio, or is this time did you kind of learn from that and not quite hold as long as you did for that biotech?
All right. So what I learned from the biotech mistake, I learned that I was not willing to risk all my money in one trade. I was basically
So
I
when the pot stocks that bubble started to pop, you didn't ride it all the way down. Is that a pretty
ex-
accurate?
exactly.
Okay, because you were like, you know what, I've been down this road before. I don't feel like going down it too far again. So you at least just learned from that and got out. You still took a loss, right? But it wasn't nearly as big as that biotech loss.
It wasn't as big as that biotech loss.
So good, you're starting to learn some risk management in a bizarre kind of way. So
Right.
where are you actually right now in your trading? I mean, what are you still doing stocks? Are you in options? Just talk to us about, kind of what you're focused on at this point in your journey.
At that point in time, I was going through trade school, and I was I was going through trade school. I got an apprenticeship at a local dealership, and I basically put all my like knowledge and all my efforts into collision repair and everything car related. So I basically transitioned out for a good 5 months, 6 months into that transition period from not trading to working on cars. And I let's see. After I got my apprenticeship, I realized that the auto industry wasn't for me, and I basically got back into trading.
So
And
just to make sure we're on the same page, the pot stock boom or pot stock bubble popped. You're like, I need a break. So you really focused on the car industry stuff for 5 to 6 months, and then you realize, you know what? This car thing's not for me. And then you wanted to get back into trading. Is that pretty much how things went?
yeah,
Okay.
it's in the time on the auto industry, but same difference.
Okay.
Transition
So
is
where are you at present time right now? What sorts of things are you focused on in trading?
currently I'm back into directional options. I was doing more of a lot of nakeds and a lot of irons, condors, and that it takes a lot of capital to do advanced option strategies. Um, and then I just can't see myself putting that much online in terms of buying power.
And it's as simple as, really finding what you're comfortable with, and obviously, the advanced options and kind of selling premium aspect just didn't particularly jive with you. So, obviously you're back to, directional options. And I'm assuming that is your time frame drastically shorter now than it used to be? I know you used to hold for a couple days, but now are you looking at kind of the more intraday stuff, trading the open market or just through one day, or are you holding overnight?
It's intraday. I never hold overnight. That's a real breaker for me.
So it sounds like you've learned over the years that weird things can happen overnight, and you just decide to avoid that altogether.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I do you have any? Tell us about your chart. I mean, what sort of things are on your chart? What's kind of any favorite strategies or anything?
It's my chart is really simple. I go from top down weekly, daily, 4 hour, hour, 30, 15, 5, and 2. um, I use the 30 minute and the hour to enter, and then I monitor with the 2 and 5 at this current moment in time. Um, Chart looks simpler support and resistances, trend lines, 3 to 4 moving averages, and Bollinger Bands.
So no like
No,
CMFs and MACDs and RSIs and ADXs and none of Aruns or whatever those things are. None of that stuff.
no oscillators. No, none of that.
No Andrews pitchforks or anything like that.
Yeah, no, Pink
No
Floyd's.
pink. Yeah, no no Pink Floyd laser light shows. So
Yeah,
so in other words, keep it simple, stupid, right?
exactly,
You're a Kiss trader.
exactly.
And that's something I think that it definitely takes a little bit of time, especially you were talking about when you kind of join the community. People are talking about all this crossover, this combined with this, and that's most traders go through the search for the Holy Grail, but obviously now you kind of recognize that there is no Holy Grail, and it's just you're gonna find what works, and the keep it simple, stupid method is pretty much the tried and true one if you are capable of reading a chart. But what would you say is a particular strength that you have and a weakness that you're currently working on?
Strength is exiting my positions. I've I've become more non-emotional about my exits and entries and profit taking points. Um, Weaknesses is that very same thing. There are days when I have trouble exiting because I've chosen a far out delta, and in terms of a loss, that is. that when it hits my chart point, I wait until I at least break even, which that sometimes breaks me.
So you're not following your plan as well as you should be. It sounds like. So it if it because this you said your strength is also your weakness. So it sounds like your true weakness is maybe a little bit of consistency here to just follow the plan day in and day out. Would that be kind of maybe a fair assessment?
Yeah, exactly.
So
So so from that, I started to choose further in deltas, which works perfectly. Starting to work out in my favor.
okay, so you're already on the road to correcting or making some little changes to help, just fix. You've come up with a solution to the problem, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Say then.
Right. Right.
Excellent. So, what does your routine now look like? And this is I'm interested because your routine literally used to be you had to go to school and you had to do this, that, and the other. But now that you're out of school, so walk us through a daily, ritual routine. Do you do a lot of your chart setups at night or the morning before? How does all that work out?
It honestly all depends. For the past, I want to say 4 months or so, I wake up, chart for like 15 minutes, trade the open, or trade 15 minutes after the open, and then trade until the chart reaches a certain point, and then I go work out, come back, see if the markets are where they should be, or if there's any setups I would like to enter into, and then the rest of the day is completely free. And then at night, I go through my charting, basically my chart setups that I look for.
There you go. That's
Yep.
it sounds like you got your preparation and what you're kind of looking for each day. But
Right.
a big thing that varies, especially from the beginning of most people's journeys until kind of presently, and it really impacts everybody differently, is how did you mentally deal with the loss when you were trading in the beginning versus how you kind of accept losses now? What kind of weight does that have on either your mindset or just kind of your outlook or your mentality?
In the beginning, as in biotechs, or in the beginning, as in.
I would probably say. I want to probably say, I guess biotechs, because that's when you're more actively trading. I was sure you're trading more of those. Or maybe you could even start at the dividend time, but not the ones when you were 13. The ones when you kind of start taking a little bit more seriously in high school.
All right. Let's see. I I I would freak out, kind of. I would be like, "Oh crap! I just lost $200 on a trade that should have netted me zillions of dollars." Joking, but I just take the loss at 500 to $300 every single time it went down.
And it would just freak you out. I mean, you would be emotionally distraught. It sounds like.
Yeah, I'll be like, "Holy crap! I just lost $500. You know how long it takes for me to make $500."
Right. Yeah. When you start to try to put things into perspective, but not. What about now? Now, when you're looking at a loss, I mean, I'm not saying that you have to love to take a loss, but do you kind of view a loss in a different way now?
Completely. I take losers completely fine. Like past couple of days, I had like a what was it? Couple. Okay, let's see. A 200 loss today would not compare to a $200 loss a couple years ago. $200 loss now would be completely fine with me because my risk on every single position is justified.
Well said. Just there makes a big difference when the risk is justified and not just a dart throw. So I like the way you put that. Very well said. And I don't know if you know this, Tony, but Ches actually has a time machine. So it's time for the good old time machine question. So if Ches lent this to you and let you go back to the start, and you can pick the starting spot, whether it's when you're 13 or whether it's when you're in high school. But what would be one bit of advice that you'd give yourself?
Uh, by far out of the money puts on August 20 something 2016 or 15. No, on SPY and all those. Joking. I'd say wait, wait until you were older. but read on every single thing that you feel to take a trade on. Like basically paper trade through all of that. Paper trade every single trade that I've taken.
Right. No, that makes sense. So paper
Yeah,
trade, so that those losses are still losses, but just on paper. Then you'd be like, oh crap, that good. I learned something from there instead of having to learn by taking actual losses. So no, that makes sense. Paper trade through all your experiences, but just not any actual real money. So no, that's a good way to put it. That way you can still experience it, but just experience it through experience, not experience it through pain of wallet.
right.
Is that pretty much okay? Good, Ches. I think we're ready to move on to my favorite part of the whole entire interview here. All this other stuff
Well,
I don't even care about. So
yeah, all the other stuff in the interview doesn't matter, but the most important question that we always ask, and I still think it's the time machine question, but of course, Clay's the head honcho around here, and his favorite question and most important question is, what is your favorite movie?
All right. I have a bunch actually.
it's one, or
Yeah.
maybe two. I'm kind of in a good mood, so
All right.
you can do two if you want.
So I'm a big James Bond person. I'm a big Star Wars person, but I also like independent movies. So between all of those would be Showtime. You guys probably never heard of it.
I've heard of the cable or the like premium cable network of Showtime, but not a movie. Ches, have you heard of this Showtime?
I've not just the channel, like you said.
It's Robert De Niro and Eddie Murphy. It's about
And is it
yeah,
what genre is it?
it's a comedy. I'd
Okay.
say comedy.
All right. Well, I think I'll have to. Is it so? It's if I add it on to my wife and I's movie watch list. Is it? She's not going to get mad. Like, where'd you see this crap from? I'm not going to get in trouble, am I?
No, you're
It's a
not
it's a
actually.
good movie.
It's a I think it's a PG-13 rated movie.
Okay. All right.
And
What about?
it came out in 2012 or 2002, sorry.
Okay. So
It's a tr-
it's got some years under its belt. Then what about food wise? What do you like to eat? And both main meal and then dessert.
Main meals. I'm a steak guy. I could go eat honestly I could go eat anything, but mainly steaks, eggs, uh
Great.
Chipotle burritos.
There you go. Yeah, you
Yeah.
just pretty much are good with just about anything. But
Yeah. So you're not high maintenance is what I collected from that question
mhm.
there.
So what do you do for fun outside of trading and working?
And
What
landscaping.
and landscaping? Yeah, what are your hobbies outside of landscaping?
I I I game, I I code, I cruise around, I work on my car. I've been getting into shooting lately.
Nice. That seems like a lot of people in the community at this point.
Right. Um,
So you do all sorts of things then. You're just like a normal dude that just likes to just get out there and have a good time, huh?
right. I basically trade and figure out what to do for the rest of the day.
That I don't think you can go wrong. Trade and then, figure out what to do with the rest of the free time. So that sounds like a good deal to me. Well, hey Tony. Oh wait, we got one more question. I'm staring right at it. But 3 words. What would you use those 3 words for to describe a successful trader?
Let's see. Management, um, balance, and persistence.
I like balance. That's a good word. Not that the other ones weren't, but yeah, that's a good way to look at it. So nice, yeah, good words, Tony. Good
Right.
words. Well, go,
Oh, sorry, my bad. Because balance, you gotta have a balance in life. Because if you trade or yeah, if you trade all day and basically if you focus all your efforts into one thing, you would basically lose sight of everything else. I don't need to preach to the choir, but I'm pretty sure everyone has been, especially in the chat room, has been involved in trading and has put all their efforts into it and has forgotten about the outside world, basically.
yes, there is no doubt about an obsession component to this trading thing. Where if you let it, it can consume you, and all you want to do is sit in your front of your computer and look at charts and look at all sorts of stuff. So balance is very important, or else you're going to turn into a crazy person. Would you agree with that, Ches?
I would completely agree with that.
Yep. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Well, hey, Tony, we're going to wrap this up. And so thank you very much. I know you got some landscaping you got to go do. Got to go plant some flowers out in the snow. So thank you for hanging out with us this afternoon.
No problem.
For those of you listening, we want to make a final few requests before we go our separate ways. If you're listening to this on the website, go ahead and click that share button. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. If you're listening on iTunes or any of the other podcast players, leave us a rating and subscribe, and that way you can keep up to date on all the content that we're putting out. So again, thank you to Tony, and thank you to all of our listeners out there. We will see you back for the next episode.
This has been the Stock Trading Reality Podcast. Thanks for taking the time to hang out. To learn more about Clay and the ClayTrader community, including the trading team, premium training, and more, visit ClayTrader.com.